Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's AACT Industry Connections with Onstage Publications. I am Quiana Queck-Rowland, Executive Director for AACT. Today we have with us Norm Orlowski from Onstage Publication, as well as Tracy Million and Jack McPherson. Today's moderator will be Tom Boo from Tupelo Community Theater, and they're here to talk about their digital program, as well as some of the cool features that they have that comes along with it, as well as some other services that you can utilize to go digital and save you some money in the process. All right, well, I'm gonna leave it to you guys, and I'll be in the background if you need me.
Okay, thanks so much, Quiana. We really appreciate the opportunity that AACT has provided for us to explain. I think this is just great to have the industry experts in and share with all of the members what we might be able to bring to make your life a little bit easier. My name is Norm Orlowski. I'm the president of Onstage Publications, and as Quiana had mentioned, I have joining us the experts really, Tracy Million, who is our publications manager, and Jeff McPherson, who is the developer. He's our IT manager. And I'm just going to give a very brief overview of Onstage and audience access, and then turn it over to the experts. So let me just tell you, Onstage Publications, in case you don't know, we've been in business for 20 years, and we work with over 110 performing arts organizations nationwide, and we publish their program books. Prior to the COVID, we were happily printing and publishing printed programs. We're not printers, but we provided all the services which relieve the organization of all of the things that have to do with self-publishing, like selling advertising and putting together the programs, and then making sure that they are printed and get into the hands of the patrons. So as I said, we publish over 5 million program books for 110 organizations. And about 7 years ago, we really looked very seriously at the fact that we were in the 21st century, and that maybe before too long, these printed programs would go away, and there might be room for a digital program. So 7 years ago, we started work on our first digital programs. And rather than ask for permission from all of the organizations, we just went ahead and developed our own digital program. And the way it was accessed at that time was the patron printed program would come across a little QR code that said, "Did you know that this program is available on your smart device?" And they, without any prompting from the organization, they dutifully took out their phones and downloaded the program. And we learned two very, very important things from that experience. And these are still somewhat of concerns even today. And the two things that we learned was, first of all, one of the concerns is the demographic is generally 55 plus. They may not be the ones that are really going to be interested in using a digital program, or not to know how to use their smart device. Well, we very quickly proved that to be inaccurate, because as soon as we launched the first one, we were able to collect Google Analytics. And quite frankly, we were amazed. The number of uses night after night with all of these organizations grew and grew. And of course, the only thing that we were able to determine was how many people were actually accessing the programs, how many pages they looked at, how much time they spent, but that was it. The other concern that everybody has is that, oh my gosh, we don't want to have anyone turn on their phone during the middle of a performance and disturb the performance. And so we also knew that in the 7 years that we were providing the programs, that no one had ever turned on their program or their phone during the event. So that was never ever a problem. So anyways, some of the organizations that we work with, for most of them at that time, it was a novelty. It was kind of unique, but there were only a handful of the organizations that really embraced a digital program at that time. And so as we moved on and wanted to look at something that the organizations would really embrace, we got together with our organizations that were using it and we said, what would you like to see? If we had to redevelop this thing, what would you like to see? And every one of them said, what we want to know is who is in the audience during every performance. And we kind of scratched our head and we thought, well, you know, don't you sell the tickets and collect the information? And they told us that actually at any time, there could be a very, very large percentage, what they call data leakage, of people that were sitting in the audience, either through group sales, friends buy from friends, relatives, freebies, whatever, that were not on their radar screen. And if they were able to capture those people and those patrons, then they would really like the idea of a digital program. So Jeff and his team went to work. We revamped the entire product, which we now call Audience Access. And actually, the delivery of the digital program is through the texting capability of your phone. So everybody uses the texting capabilities. We use texting much more than we use email or even calling our friends. And so it's very, very simple and very elegant. You'll see a sample of a program later on. But all a patron has to do is to text the word program to the number that we provide, and bingo, on their phone, they get the digital program. But the important thing is that the organization gets something that's very valuable. They collect the cell phone information, and they also can get the email information. So imagine now if you had that information from every audience member, what you could do with that information. So the texting capability then allows you to promote upcoming events. So for instance, if you've got a special performance of Robin Hood and His Merry Men, which is going to take place in a month and you want to promote that, you can create a little text bubble that would let people know if you're interested in Robin Hood and His Merry Men, text Robin, and that can go directly to your landing page and they can buy tickets, et cetera, et cetera. But even if they don't buy the tickets, you will have collected the cell phone and the email information of every one of those folks that was interested in Robin Hood and His Merry Men. So with the capability of mass texting through the portal, you can then send out advanced discount ticket opportunities to those patrons. It doesn't stop there. We have organizations right now that are using Audience Access for micro donations. Lots of them are doing virtual performances right now and have no way to monetize those. By using Audience Access, you can set up a little micro donation page and they can actually donate $5, $10, or whatever. So that's kind of an overview. I'm going to turn it over right now to the experts, to Jeff and to Tracy, to give you a little run through and talk specifically about the things that we're learning as we roll this out to the organizations nationwide. Jeff?
Sure, thank you very much. So once again, my name is Jeff McPherson. On your screen, you'll see a QR code. You can either scan that QR code with your phone currently, and that will take you to a demo program that we've set up for this purpose. Give you an idea of what a program could look like on your phone, and give you an idea of how you could leverage that information. Also, you can, if you don't want to use the QR code, you can just type the word intro to the number provided, the 937 number that's on the screen currently. So you can do that as we do this little opening little slide. So this is a presentation that Tracy and I do a couple times a week. And so we've kind of modified it to fit this format. Some of the stuff that we're going to go over is some of the stuff that Norm has already spoken a little bit about, but we'll go over them again because we think, number one, they're important, and two, it might just kind of click in your head that, hey, this is how we could use this as an organization. So once again, my name is Jeff McPherson. I'm kind of the head of the hosting these meetings, and then Kat, myself, and Tracy are really the folks that with the customers we deal with and programming and a bunch of other stuff, getting ideas from our clients. We change the system and make modifications to it as needed. We're kind of the ones that are running that show. So Tracy, can you introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, I'm Tracy Million. I'm with Onstage Publications. I've been with them for 14 years. I would be the point of contact to develop your digital program book and audience access. And look forward to giving the presentation.
All right, so hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to either text that number or scan that QR code. It'll pop up later on in the seminar or the little webinar that we have. So once again, just type the word intro to the number provided or scan the QR code. So let's get right to it. So Norm talked a little bit about where Onstage or where audience access came from. So originally it came from a festival. There was an organization that in the summertime, there was a fee if they brought printed stuff to Central Park and some other things, and they wanted to reach what they called the Wall Street types. So what they did was when people would walk into Central Park, they would get a little bookmark, and on the bookmark would be the QR code, just like what you just did. And that allowed them to get telephone numbers and email addresses from the folks that are coming to the free Shakespeare festival shows that were going on for that 3 weeks over the summertime. This allowed this Shakespeare company to then, when they had their new season schedule to announce, to push a mass message to all of the folks that came to their shows at Central Park. This really opened up, number one, what they called the tip bucket. So they got additional like $5 or $2 donations, but it also provided them another marketing opportunity to push, to get to the folks that never came to their shows before. So for the next few years, this was very successful. So successful that Onstage started providing a product to festivals at large. So if you had a festival in the summer and some blah, 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 people started using it more and more. And so originally, not only like Norm was saying, we were providing it to our clients on the performing arts side, we were also had a product that we were giving to festivals so that they could use, over a day or 2 days or 3 week festivals, that they could use that information later on to get messages back to themselves. So COVID happened, right? So as soon as that happened, we started refining it so that, because we knew that probably when people started coming back at first, they wouldn't want to print touch stuff and some other things. So we started changing it and offering it to all of our clients as a comeback or a restart situation when folks come back. And so we've modified it. So Kat, myself, Tracy, the folks here and our organizations, we've made big changes to the back end so it fits everyone. And we think it's perfect for theater groups, for union concerns, and some other things that we'll talk about very, very soon. So Tracy, do you want to talk a little bit about the back end and how that works, and why is there no more costs involved?
Absolutely. So the digital program book is a mirror vision of a printed program book. With additional information that a lot of organizations in the past were paying additional costs to add pages to put in more sponsor ads or more information from shows. The digital program book is built on a text editor. It's very simple. It's copy and paste. You can place information from previous files. It will save the formatting. It does have sponsor ads. They can be digital. They can be linked back to their website or a landing page with an offer on it. They do have animations. The digital program book has additional opportunities to give information for your sponsors. So when you're sending out a text for the link of the program book, you could actually put in the link that tonight's performance is sponsored by your sponsor, whether it be Key Bank or whether it be AT&T. So there's a lot of different additional opportunities to provide patrons with information in the digital piece that you're not able to provide in the printed piece. There's 3 different themes that you're entitled to build in the digital program book. And Jeff, do you want to talk about those?
Sure. So what we've been very careful of doing is obviously when we want to work really great on phones and tablets, because we know those are the mobile devices that most people will bring back to your theater. We've also made a version that works really well with desktop computers. So if you have a very, very large screen like my iMac that I'm using now, which has that huge 4K screen, it works really well with those things also. So we've been very careful with making sure it all works with all modern and semi-modern phones. And the themes like Tracy was just talking about, we have different ones. One of the most popular ones right now is the dark mode theme. As folks are coming back, you know, the organization's concerned that, hey, we want it to be a dark screen so that if they're in the audience and they use their device, it's not disrupting their neighbors or the events as they're going on. So we've, and once again, the themes can be custom if you want to use your own color schemes and things like that. It fully can integrate those things also. And like Tracy was saying, you know, the animation, one of the things that I think Norm talked about at the very opening was that we do a lot of ad sales here. And what we've had a very good success with talking to businesses and saying, oh, wow, I think I saw an ad being built this morning with a sailboat that was going through the sea, and it was kind of a neat situation. So it was a new opportunity for sponsors and for advertisers to get their message out differently, which is kind of cool. And then our biggest one is if you have Google Analytics, so if you are tracking performance of your website or maybe a ticketing, you can use that same code inside of Audience Access to see the performances of different pages. So, you know, if people love bios and you can see that, if they like this or they like that, you can integrate that and see the time that people are spending on those pages. So a little breakaway from what we usually do here, I'm going to talk a little bit about that performance. So if you're wondering, hey, how do people use the digital program that we've been seeing? Well, if you have 5 pages of content, most people go to 3.7 pages while they're on the digital program. So if you have good content there, people will peruse it. And they'll spend about 1.5 minutes on each one of those pages. So right there, you spend almost 5 minutes. People, if you have a good digital program, people will spend some time in there. They'll look at bios. They'll go to Twitter handles of actors and so on and so forth. It really opens up those avenues. And it's a real give back to the patron and to your staff, the performers that are coming to your staff. It really opens up their social channels and some other things that might be beneficial to them. And like Tracy was saying, you know, being able to take that PDF or that Word document or that place on your website and just cut and pasting right into the digital program really opens up situations where that can happen. So how do you deliver this thing? So you have this brand new digital product and it's really great. How do you get it into your patrons' hands? So texting is the way that we at Onstage think that it's super successful. Number one, and the most important is it's what your patrons, they understand it. They get it. They text all the time. They're comfortable with that. And so it's not an app. So it's not they have to go find it on the App Store or the Google Play Store and download an app and some other stuff. It's just the texting there. And it's just a regular web link. We have certain customers that don't use the texting at all. And they say, hey, I just want to create a great digital program book for my advertisers and my sponsors. And they just provide a direct link to a web page, and then there's their delivery. That's their delivery method. But the texting adds a whole new marketing opportunity for you as an organization, and your patrons then can help your organizations grow, and you can get your message out to them as needed. And so Tracy and I are going to talk a little bit about how we've seen that happening. And Norm talked something about that new relationship that digital program and that texting can turn into. So on the screen here, you say, you know, delivering your program through text makes you now connect and imagine what you can do with this new relationship. So Tracy and I are now going to talk about some of the neat little situations that have come up over this past winter and fall. About other, man, I'm having a hard time speaking, about some of the stuff that we've seen. So one of the very first questions that Tracy and I always get is, hey, I have this brand new number. How can I get people to start using it? So Tracy, let's talk a little bit about Halloween and the way that we suggest folks start using audience access in their texting number.
Absolutely. So Jeff, what we suggest to the organizations is to promote, promote, promote. As much as you can get your mobile number out to your patrons, that's going to be the most successful for you. So we suggest to the organizations, once they start using their digital program book, is to send out an email to their patrons asking them a few keywords what they would like to hear from the organization about. Maybe it's an upcoming schedule, maybe it is discounted tickets, maybe it is upcoming shows. So we ask them to text in those keywords and they'll bucketize those patrons. So once they start texting back, they bucketize them. So now you're going to be able to provide your patron the message that they're interested in. So this particular organization was starting to populate their digital program book, as Jeff had mentioned. And so they decided they were going to do a Halloween contest. This was, as Jeff said, back in the fall and the winter, so they did not have any shows ongoing, but they still wanted to connect with their patrons. So they sent out an email and they asked their patrons to text in the word Halloween along with a picture of their family or their furry animal in a costume. And they gave away free tickets to the best costume.
So what that started doing was they had some other avenues too, but through this package, then I think they used the word backstage. They were able to get 1,700 new phone numbers into the audience access database that then they could use later on. And we're actually going to talk a little bit how one of the ways that they use those 1,700 numbers to do something really great for that organization. And this is even before they had any events going on. They were just able to get that message out. A very certain thing happened that allowed them to use this information very effectively. So one of the ways, another way that you can use the texting, when you open back up or you're having a virtual event and you have a ticket site and the person buys a ticket. So I'll say I go out and I buy a ticket and I buy one for my spouse. You have my information and I would get an email saying, hey, text the word rock to get your program. Now, the program might not be complete yet, because it might be another 3 weeks or 4 weeks before that show or event happens. However, I type the word rock and it'll say, thank you, you'll be given the program when it's ready. So maybe an hour before the performance, if you had over 200 folks buy tickets, you're able to push to them the finished digital program as they enter your building, or as they enter your parking lot, or an hour before the show, they can get right on their phone without doing anything, without scanning a QR code, without typing anything. They've already done that. They've preloaded the system. You go in, you provide them the digital program book as necessary. So it's another way to get that information into the system. Also, you know that, hey, they're interested in the School of Rock type of shows. So maybe a season from now, if you have another show that's like the School of Rock performance, you can say, hey, you had a great time at the School of Rock show. Take this opportunity to buy tickets to this new show. So you're hitting those 200 people again with another marketing opportunity to get them interested in another event like the School of Rock show. Tracy, do you want to talk a little bit about alerts and weather and those types of things?
Absolutely. So organizations have been performing outdoors. So this particular organization asked if they could use the word weather. So they sent out an email asking their patrons to text in the word weather for anybody that was interested in receiving an alert prior to the show or during the show about something that might have been canceled or postponed.
So that's another really interesting way to use that. And folks, what's so interesting about all of this is when they send out a message like that, type the word weather if you want to be notified, they get so many people into the system. This is the same organization that did the Halloween. And over time, like I said, they ended up with over 1,700 folks in the system. So Tracy, that grant came up and how did they use those 1,700 people in the system?
Absolutely. So they had an opportunity to secure a grant So they went back to their database with the numbers that they had populated with the little text words that they had asked the patrons to text in. They had over 1,700 numbers that they had collected. So they sent out a message asking the patrons to submit a 2-question survey. They received over 700 responses almost immediately, allowing them to secure that grant.
So once again, having that data in the system, if this was an email that would have went out, they wouldn't have got the type of responses that they got. That's what they told us. So by having this at their fingertips and giving it whoever they are, they just boom, boom, done. They get that grant. It's another opportunity that comes out of nowhere sometimes that you're prepared to handle. And what was so great about it, they said that, and they were concerned about people unsubscribing or saying stopped or being angry. Not one of those people, those 1,700 emails or text messages that they sent out, not one person opted out. So for us, it was a real eye-opening experience, and for them. So it was kind of cool. Also, since Tracy and I do a lot of these webinars, we do a lot of Q&A at the end. And somebody had a question about casts. Tracy, you want to hit this one?
The good thing about the digital program book is that you not only have to use it for your digital program book, but you can communicate within your staff using the digital program. So this particular organization wanted to correspond with their cast members quickly. So they asked their cast members to text in the word cast. So during the performances, the scheduling and the rehearsing, they were able to send out a text to their cast members if they had a rehearsal time change or if they had a rehearsal event change. So it was something that they were able to not only send out to their cast members, but also now they have them in their database. So they're able to then push out information to them about shows and other information, putting more people in their platform.
Right, so it's very powerful in that way, and it was a new way that we'd never thought about as Onstage. We always thought this was a patron-facing thing, and what's kind of neat is that we also been seeing it now for volunteers also. Some organizations, before COVID, they would have their volunteers come, but they would thank them with like a dinner or something like that, and they can't do that right now. So what they're doing is they're saying, hey, type the word volunteer to this number, and then sending them a gift card or a thank you message on their phone or some other benefit. So that's been very interesting for Tracy and I to see those types of things also. Okay, so as a quick review of what Audience Access is, it's a program that's easy to create, works on all devices, and isn't constrained by costs. Just like Tracy was saying a few seconds ago. If you want to add additional educational materials or videos or audio or add just additional donor pages, you can do so at no costs. You can gain access to those. I think Norm talked about this really quick, this data leakage issue. I've heard folks tell us it's about 30%. So about 30% of the audience, they don't know who they were until they started using Audience Access. And now you have them in the system, and you can fill your repository of either emails and texting. You can get your message out to those folks also. And then finally, being able to tap into getting a message out to a specific group of people, whether the people that like rock shows or want to be in a Halloween contest, or if you have a grant opportunity or they're volunteers or they're casts or whatever they are, you can get that message out to the right people at the right time, which is also a very powerful feature, not just for your organization to sell more tickets, which it is, by the way, but also helps them take part in your, many theaters are great resources for a community. And so they feel part of that community also when you can get a good message to them at the right time. So I think that is it for the overview of what Audience Access is. So I'm going to turn this back over to
Jeff
or Winston or somebody.
Jeff, if you can quickly, maybe we might want to go over the fact that we have the print shop. I know there's some union issues. Some union issues in the souvenirs for people that might still want a printed piece.
Yeah, so, okay, yeah, this wasn't part of the slides, but what we've been hearing a lot about are union concerns from folks, and they need a printed piece still. And they're also saying, hey, what's another way for them to get to the digital program? Well, what we're providing is at Onstage is you can now, when you sign up for Audience Access, we have a bifold on very nice paper. It's your front cover, just like a printed program would. It is a printed program. It's a printed sheet. That's your cover like you've always had. You have a title page, a cast of characters, and you have a back cover maybe for donors or sponsors or something of that nature. And they can be bought in sets of 250 or 500. We're trying to still decide what that quantity is. And you can get as many of those as you need. So that'll take care of, if you have union concerns, you'll have a printed piece. And on that printed piece will be a clear way to get to the rest of the program, which is on the digital program. There'll be a QR code, and then whatever text word to get to that night's program will be on there also. There also will be a bookmark. So it's a cheaper, less expensive option. And this is what we kind of used at festivals. So it's just like a 2x8. It's, you know, a really nice piece that people can keep as a keepsake or a souvenir. So hopefully by having those two, we call it the print shop. It's inside of audience access, which should become an odd, you can have access to those things. Thank you, Tracy. I forgot about that.
That's okay.
Okay.
Okay, Tom, do we have any questions?
Yes, I think y'all did such an amazing job. We don't even have any questions at this time. So if you want to summarize, we'll give people another couple of minutes if they have anything they want to ask before we close out. But if you want to go ahead and summarize, Norm, that'd be great.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Well, again, we'd love to talk with you about the specifics. We have various plans. For instance, Tom, when we were waiting to come on, you all know Tom is the executive director at Tupelo, but of course, because of the COVID, he's lost his box office manager, and so he's doing double duty, which we find many staffs are going to be shorthanded. And so as you begin to return to a live performance or even virtual performances, the programs continue to be an integral part of the performance. And Onstage stands ready to provide a complete digital program from stem to stern, right from the beginning. We sell all the advertising. It's an opportunity, of course, once you eliminate the high cost of print and we're able to sell the advertising, or you can sell the advertising. But once you start reducing the cost of print and you take that out of the equation, you're going to find that your bottom line, particularly now as you go back and you're looking at every nook and cranny for additional dollars, you're going to find that you're going to be much further ahead from an accounting standpoint when you take a look at how cost-effective digital programs can be, the capability that it provides way beyond just the digital program and the texting, and the ability to sell some terrific ads to local advertisers as well as sponsors. And the sponsors, as the advertisers, can go to landing pages or directly connect to their website. So it's a very exciting place to be. Most of the organizations that we've talked with at webinars are really looking at COVID. And if there is a silver lining in this whole COVID mess, it's the fact that they can start to become more cost effective with a tool like audience access and digital programs and begin to move their patrons into the 21st century. Thanks.
Hey, Norm.
Yes.
I had to step away for a minute. Did someone ask the question about, can the digital programs be downloaded by the patron?
Not just yet. You just asked that question.
Thank you. I wasn't sure because I had to step away for just a moment.
Jeff?
Jeff, you are muted.
I got you. I got you. Yeah, they can. Once again, we have one of our partner organizations that has been using it over the past winter. We added that feature because of their access. You can print it out on 8.5 sheets of paper. Once again, for their virtual devices, that's what it mainly was meant to do. So yeah, they have that capability. Once again, that's not very useful on a phone, but if they're at home and they do it beforehand and they access the program, they can download it at that time. And you as an organization, once you build the program, can go in there, download that 8.5 by 11, and then print it out if necessary.
And how would folks get in touch with all of you if they would like to get more information for their theaters?
Just go to audienceaccess.co, or just type in onstagepublications.com. It'll take you to the same place. And then on there, there's a contact us page. And if you want to go with a trial, you can just go to the trial. There's a 14-day free trial, no obligations. You can go into the trial. Tracy and I will be informed that you signed up, and then we'll be in touch with the organization if you need, a one-on-one. We do a lot of sessions with tech sessions, like 4 or 5 people from an organization will hop on, maybe executive director, marketing, box office. We've done a lot of meetings with them, and people have concerns about privacy and some other things, and we talk through all those things with them, specifically one-on-one.
And from what I remember, Norm, we've had this conversation before. You guys will always also work with those organizations to in regards to communicating to their advertisers how this is different and the benefits that come along with moving towards a digital program format. So I know that they're very they're great at working with organizations on strategies in regards to that as well.
Yeah, there's nobody else in the industry that does what we do, and that is to provide turnkey published programs, whether they're print or digital, and then also sell the advertising. I mean, Playbill does it, we know that, certainly, but there's nobody else that does it on a digital platform. And as you said, our claim to fame, next to beautiful programs, is our ability to get into your marketplace and sell more advertising than you ever were able to sell yourself. It's a big job to contact these advertisers, particularly now as we go back into these COVID problematic economies in these local markets where most of these businesses are shuttered. A lot of them are. So it's going to be very important for you to reach out to these advertisers. And because you're short-staffed, just like Tom, we can do it all. We can reach out. We can let them know what your upcoming events are, and we become ambassadors for your community theater in each one of the communities that we work in. We sell the advertising, we do the layout and design, we do everything, and you'll have programs, rest assured. You can just cross that off your list. One other thing too that we are providing, and this was a request from a lot of these organizations, we've also established a little seal or a logo that says touch-free programs. And we also have a template for a press release that we would provide to you for you to provide to your local newspaper, because patrons want to feel comfortable, they want to feel safe. And when you're investing in touchless tickets, touchless doors, touchless toilets, certainly touchless programs are one of the things that are going to be on top of the mind. So we've got it, we've got pretty well all covered, a complete package for you. Thank you.
Hey, Norm, we have a couple more questions real quick.
Sure.
Both from Don. He says ad-supported pricing option. Same price as basic, not clear on what this means.
Okay. So we have 2 pricings, just 2. One's a $2.95, which is self-serve, meaning we have organizations that'll go in there, they create a great digital program book on their own, they set up their own keywords, and they go in and they do that stuff. We have a $7.95 version, which we have other organizations that are going in, and what that allows them to do, like Norm was just talking about, where if you're short-staffed or if you don't want to do that work, Tracy and her staff you supply her with the raw content, will make a great visual program book on your behalf. And then we have another model, which is ad supported, which is $2.95 a month. However, the difference is that you get 20% of the advertising sales that occur. So, but we still create the digital program. You just send us the raw content, and we help you through that process. So there's only 2 plans, but the ad supported just means you get a rebate of 20% of the advertising that's been sold.
And it's $295, and we do all of the layout and design of the programs. And also, we have an intermission period. So if you choose to select the monthly, and you're only performing, let's say, 6 months out of the year, but you want to retain the phone number, and you can elect to go to the intermission payment, which is $97 per month. And you retain all of the capabilities, but you just you don't have the texting capability right then, but you retain the phone number and everything else. And then when you're ready to go back to live performance, you're ready to go. So if you just run those numbers and look what you were paying for your printing, and take a look at what you had in advertising revenues, you're going to bring to the bottom line when you go back some really serious dollars that you had not had before. And if we do it for you, we're really going to work for you in developing that advertising.
Okay, I think that was our last question.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
Jeff, Tracy, Norm, anything else before we head out?
No,
Thank you for
thank
this
you very much.
opportunity.
We really appreciate the opportunity to have this session with all the folks and the good members of AACT. Thank you.
Well,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you guys coming and being here. And thank you, Tom, for moderating. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. If you have not already checked it out, please do. We're going to have a virtual ACT this summer, June 14th through 20th. We've got some wonderful keynotes coming up. So I encourage you to check that out while the early bird pricing is still in effect. And I will see everyone on the next webinar.